You're watching All To Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Hello and welcome to All To Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral with me, Steve Sidwell, and of course, Joe Cole. Let's get stuck straight into today. We've got an incredible guest, a hero, not only to me and Joe, but to hundreds and thousands all over the world. Joining us today is one of the most gifted players of his generation.
Sid, the most gifted player of his generation.
The most gifted player of his generation. An absolute icon at Tottenham Hotspur and former England manager, and also partial to a few songs when he's got a microphone in his hand. It's an absolute pleasure to have the legendary Glenn Hoddle. Glenn, welcome to the show.
How do I follow that build up?
That's the best introduction we've done.
It is. I can't. Well, I don't know what to say.
Glenn, how's
been
things?
done now.
You all good?
I'm very good, thanks, Sid. Yeah, very good. In good health, number one.
Yes.
That's what we all should be looking at the moment. Yeah, but no, really good, and loving the Premier League at the moment.
Yep.
Particularly, I think it's really exciting. I think Liverpool back in there. So football-wise, it's good. But yeah, good. Enjoying my golf and all things like that, and just finished the book. And it's been a busy time, but really enjoyable time.
Brilliant. Good. Well, let's go back. I want to go back to your playing days first of all. And as Joe said, the most gifted player of your generation. Was that natural, or was that something you had to develop, or a bit of both?
Well, I always answer that. It was natural. I can't say that it wasn't, because, I don't know, my dad tells me way back that at 4, 5, 6 years of age, I was left and right foot. So that was a massive plus to anyone. So it was both. It was there then. And, Dad was a good amateur football, spent loads of time sort of he didn't coach me once in his life, really. He just was there with me all the time. And, so it was natural. Yeah. But the thing is, Sid, like we all, in our hearts, the three of us, we love football. And I had this unbelievable sort of desire. It was in a DNA sort of thing. It chose me in many ways at a very young age. And, I sit and think sometimes if I hadn't made it, and there was a few times that, it wouldn't have happened for me with as I write in my book, nearly losing my eye and other injuries and whatever. I don't know what I'd have done, because it was like destiny. I felt at a very young age. So, but having that feeling, Sid, I put, like we all did, hours and hours and hours of practice. It wasn't practice, actually. It was a labour of love. So I didn't practice once. It was just playing football against a wall, a sponge ball in the bedroom when Mum said, like, that's enough, come in. And, it was like we've all gone through it. And I just never stopped playing football. And I was naturally two-footed. So if you practice like that, or you train like that, or you play against the wall like that, my word, you're not going to get any worse.
No.
You'll only get better.
Well, you're not going to get any worse when you're doing kick-ups, because in your book, you said about walking to school with a football, and then all of a sudden it was, how far can I get keeping the ball up and chalking the curbs? I mean, that in itself is just amazing.
That's the only way it got me to score, I think. Enjoy it.
We're not talking a couple of hundred yards. We're talking.
No, it was a fair old walk with a little road, not a main road to get across, and and I remember thinking, like, near the end of a lesson, last lesson, I was excited about trying to beat it again. So it was a lovely way of. People thought I was mad, walking along, and had a few scuffles with people trying to put me off, and what's that idiot doing? But no, it was good fun. It was really good, but it was in my DNA.
Yeah. Do you know what? That is like exactly the same as me. I used to do exactly the same thing. Used to dribble the ball to school, or keep it up to school. I think that's a great message to any young player. Like when they see the players in the Premier League and they think of, it's just there. It's years and years of, and it never felt like practice or training to me as a kid. I never went. Even now, I don't think there's been one day in my career where I thought, I don't fancy training today. I loved it, and I still love it now. And that was the same as a kid. It was just, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah, I can't.
I feel blessed that I've got that attitude.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe one when I was a bit hungover.
Yeah.
After a win, we had a great win, had a great night. I remember it. And it was like, we're training next day, and it was just such a good win. I think it was Barcelona or something. Yeah. So in the end...
Just Barcelona.
It was a big game. So it was like, oh my word, I do not fancy it today. I think that's the only time.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you're both cut from the same cloth in terms of technical ability, but you broke in the first team at Spurs at 17. It was a big players, big personalities in that dressing room at the time. Did they take you under their wing, or was it a hard one to sort of go into?
No.
Were they welcoming? Was it sort of kick up the backside, or was it a bit of everything?
It was a bit of everything, but mainly it was tough.
Right.
It was hard school, you know. None of that, you know, put my arm around him and they want you to do well, obviously, because you're part of the team as well. They want you to do well because they had their bonus to win for as well.
Yeah.
But it was very much like that. It was very single-minded. People, you know, we weren't earning the money that they're earning today. The bonus was like massive back in them days. We always had the raggle in the pre-season time about the bonuses, and they were big. But it was really hard. You know, when I was apprentice and that, you know, Joe Kinnear was in the first team and Terry Naylor, Cyril Knowles, they were really, they were great players, you know, but they were tough characters, and there was a few others as well. So you had to go with it. You had to really fight. If not, you were going to sink. You were going to sink right to the bottom. So.
What year was that, Glenn?
70. I was 74. I was an apprentice, and they were really hard. I broke in training first. And that's a big enough thing. Martin Peters, Martin Shivers, you know, all them players were. And just going into train at 16 with them was amazing. Going to Red Star Belgrade was my first ever trip abroad. Cool. You know, and I'm 16 carrying the bags. I didn't get on, but it was just to take it all in. And
do you think that gets done enough now? You know, like in terms of just experience, like getting players in and around. I mean, because was it you that brought? No, it was Euro '96, wasn't it? That they took Rio and trained around the first.
No, I brought Rio in.
You, yeah. I mean,
Rio
just to get
in,
the next generation. Do you think that's done enough now for the next crop?
Sorry, Glenn. I think it's done just organically now because of St George's Park. Whereas you would have trained. Was it Bisham Abbey?
Bisham Abbey.
Which was all different. St George's Park. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen the under 15s with the 21s. So Terry and Glenn who did it, and then Sven stopped it for some reason, and Keegan, and I thought it would be great.
What you're saying there is like a club.
Yeah.
See, because if you're in a club and you say, right, today I'll bring a youngster in, or if one of the pros gets a slight problem and your numbers are,
you can just
call somebody. No, call the kid over.
Right.
We'll have a look at the kid in amongst it all. So that happens, doesn't it? And that's like a club.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was in England, people used to say about me joining in. I only joined in probably 4 times in training in England.
Really?
Everyone said, "Oh, he was." No, because someone pulled out with, I don't know.
Did you
Mo must have had a blister or something.
Yeah.
Did you purposely not join England as a manager?
No, it was it wasn't right. I didn't feel it was right, actually. I'd only just finished playing, so I was fit. And Johnny Gorman, you know, Johnny was so enthusiastic, like, and he always loved watching me playing.
Yeah.
Odd, you go in. You go in. But we didn't have anyone
box
else.
off his seat, that's why.
Yeah.
We didn't have anyone else to pull over because we were England away, just them amount of players. Yeah. So just to make it 8v8 or whatever function we were doing, that's the only time I went in and played and stuff. But you know, when you go in, you go in.
Yeah.
So you think
lose it,
you put your head on, don't you? You think, there's 7 other lads working hard here. I've got to keep the ball. So you put a player's head on straight away. Well, and your pride doesn't allow you to go, you know, well, I'm manager now. You got to do your best.
So you only did it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And when I speak to Rio or any of the United boys, and them 3 or 4 times must have made such an impression on them. They all in their heads, they think that you was in all the time. So just like, do you know what I mean? You must have performed some skills on them
some
days.
technical work. We did a lot of technical work. A lot of them liked it, loved it, and a lot of them didn't actually. Yeah. Funny enough. But I felt it's called football. Yeah. So it's called football. Yeah. And if for me, even from a kid coming through as a player, as a manager, you've got to master the football. That's the number one aim. I don't care what anyone says, you know, whether you've got to be 6 foot or you're better if you're smaller, or you've got to be able to run, or if you cannot master the football, you cannot be a footballer. Yeah. It's not called head ball. It's not called catch ball. It's called football. Yeah. And that was my philosophy. So we did a lot of training. All my clubs, it was technical. And same with England. We put small balls in, and they trained with small balls, and it found some of them out, and others loved it. Yeah. But it was the way I was going to do it. So I might have, you know, given some examples of what to do with the technique, what I wanted to do, talking about the spin of the ball. You know, no one realises how much a we all gone
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the ball's always spinning.
Yeah.
It's never flat, is it? It's never coming to you nice and easy. Maybe from a goal kick, but that weren't my job. I'll leave that with somebody else.
When you was playing, I mean, you say that about spinning the ball and that, and what was it like? Because the pitch is now a carpet, Glenn, but I mean, what was it like? You say about you can control this ball, and we've seen clips and videos of the games that you played. To do it on the kind of surfaces that you've done, I mean, was that tough for your game?
It was, yeah. It was tough also, guys, because of the way that we played. You know, I can't tell you how, for the better, how the modern game now is a million miles away from how it was.
Yeah.
You know, tactically, pitches, and the rules. They're the three main reasons why I say that. But the pitches were hard because you knew also that the guy was coming in, he was going to give you, he'd have a couple of real bad tackles to put in before the ref even thought about maybe booking someone. So on a pitch that's bobbly or a pitch that's got divots and mud, we loved pre-season, we loved the start of the season, but by the end of the season, you're playing on dust bowls, and then in the middle of it, you're running through mud. Everyone used to have a hernia. Problems. Loads of Gilmore groins, if you remember that.
Yeah, Gilmore groin.
No, who has a Gilmore groin now? No one, because the pitches, you run across the top of the pitch, and also the academies now, they're learning to do their core work and stuff. Core work, we didn't do. We did the opposite.
Yeah.
Had a
we
couple
did the
of
worst
beers
things.
afterwards.
Sponsored by but it was just a total different game. But the attitude in England was difficult for me. I write this in the book quite heavily. I had to fight against the tide completely the way I wanted to play football. I was, the way we played at Spurs was quite technical. We still played it quite direct at times, but it was quite technical the way we played compared to a lot of teams. It was a long ball game. The ball was in the air, 60 by 40 on a mud patch. Oh, you're a creative footballer. Good luck. Try and create in them circumstances. And I think these wonderful young players that we're seeing, and these wonderful players like Messi and Ronaldo in this era, and Neymar's, you name them. It's about, could they play taking them back that way and playing in that era, in that generation, rather than the other way round. Are they better now than they were then? I think to myself, oh dear, they'd find it so much. They'd still be brilliant. Of course they would, because they've got that wonderful natural talent.
You can't compare eras. So people always say to me, you just can't, because like you said, the rules, the pitches, the attitude of the players. The game moves on, doesn't it? And everything you're saying is just 100%. I agree with everything you said. From my, going over to France, then I got lucky enough to work with some great managers, and it opened your eyes. And the football I was taught as a kid in the England setup, Glenn, that 4-4-2, Charles Hughes, we talked about it loads on here, and we talked behind the scenes. It's like we were so going down the wrong path, and all the great players like yourself, your Paul Scholes, your Gascoignes, and that they didn't get created because of the system. It was in spite of the system, we still create these great players. But now the system's working, so you're creating the multiple Mason Mounts, Foden, Grealish, Maddisons, and the list goes on. Sancho's, all these technical players, because the system's right. Do you know what I mean?
The emphasis has changed, and then the system was changed. The small-sided games. We had, let's face it, they've copied the Dutch, they've copied the French. They saw what the French did, and then they won, the World Cup and the Euros, and then the Dutch and the Spanish. So we've copied them. Thank the Lord we did, and now we've got whatever. But it's the emphasis has changed. I mean, I got loads of criticism when I was playing back in the day in England. I did what I did, and I was strong-minded enough I weren't going to change. To be honest, it was the only way I could play. But it was a real fight against the tide to play back then, when the ball's up in the air, the muddy pitches. You've got Suey trying to. You've got players that are gonna be strong with you and get away with it because they were allowed in them days.
So was that one of the main reasons you went to Monaco, to France, to suit your style of play? I said at a very early age. There was a couple of times I nearly went. Said 21, I nearly went to Germany. Wow.
Just woke up one day. And just said, not right. I bought a wedding forward. A year, because we were going to go to Germany. And I just woke up one day and I looked in, I was shaving. I remember it to this day, and I was like, I'm too young. I'm not going.
Yeah.
And I just made that decision.
Yeah.
And then another time to Napoli, funny enough, just before Diego went.
What? So hold on, we can't just let that slide. You could have played with Diego Maradona.
Well, I don't know if I'd have played with him or whatever, but
For the benefit of the podcast
The story
and all the
is-
Tottenham fans out there, you could have played with.
yeah,
It's possible.
It was possible.
Imagine
Yeah,
that for a link up.
It was possible because
Wow.
what happened was that Napoli, they gave. I mean, this was back in the day.
Yeah.
So I played the '82 World Cup, and Napoli wanted me to sign, so they gave me a 10-day holiday in Positano.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly. So I'll go around the stadium. I look at what a crazy
I played
place.
there.
What a crazy
It
place.
ain't changed.
Oh
ain't
my
changed.
word. But it was like, yeah, I fancy this. Anyway, so I go back in the summer. I'm thinking, right, we've now got a pro. And I get a phone call from Dennis Roach, my manager, bless him. He said, Glenn, the deal's off. I said, they changed their mind. He said, no. He said, the president's been put in prison and the coach is gone. So I was like, oh, okay then. We won't be going there. Yeah. So, and that was when Rudy Kroll was there.
Wow.
Rudy
Yeah.
Kroll was the sweeper. Dutch,
Right.
beautiful player he
Yeah.
was, Rudy Kroll. And it was then in '82, and I think Diego went probably in '83, did he?
I think he
Something
did,
around
yeah,
about
he
then.
was,
about
yeah.
then. So it just didn't happen. But I had a very nice holiday on them actually.
Yeah, that's
to be honest.
nice. That's nice.
So you leave Monaco, player manager at Swindon, promotion Premier League. Then you get a call from Chelsea. Was that hard to leave Swindon,
It
or
was.
was it?
It was.
really.
Yeah. I mean, you just said there. It's quite funny, isn't it? You know, you go from Monaco, Monte Carlo to Swindon.
Yeah.
That's what football does for us, doesn't it? It gives us these extremes. So I took over Swindon. I love Swindon, absolutely adored Swindon. It was a fabulous time, learning curve for me and all that with the manager, got promotion. And then this offer come to Chelsea and it was like, oh, what do I do? My heart's saying stay, my head's saying, look, it's the next progression. If you want to go, improve, you got to take that opportunity.
And this was to become player manager.
I was player manager at Swindon at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't quite know what the squad was at Chelsea, if I was brutally honest. And I thought, well, time to hang the boots up, probably. But I said, well, I did some training. We got promotion. We played at Wembley, did that, went on holiday, did a bit of training, as we do.
Yeah.
And Ascot race course running around there at 30, whatever I was, 86 or something. Thinking, what am I doing, you idiot?
Yeah.
And then thinking, well, I'll go in and see, but I don't think I'll be needed. I was needed. It was Chelsea at the time was, it wasn't the Chelsea of today, that's for sure. Facilities or the players. So there was a problem there, and I thought, I'm gonna have to try and play, because I wanted to play three at the back then. I did it at Swindon. I wanted to go and play out from the back, and in the end, it was difficult. We tried it, and we won a pre-season tournament at White Hart Lane. Actually,
I was there, Glenn, in the crowd.
Oh, were you?
I was there.
You weren't, were you?
I was there in the crowd. Yeah, I remember watching you.
Ajax, wasn't it? Ajax, Lazio.
Lazio. Gazza played.
Tottenham.
Gazza played for Lazio.
That's right.
So it was like the best
there.
tournament. It was a Saturday and a Sunday, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's right,
And
yeah.
I went both days. I got to watch Glenn and Gazza,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Yeah, it was-
this is heaven. I remember Glenn just. I don't know if I think you either played holding mid or sweeper,
Sweeper,
because you
I
were
think it was.
it was like the sprinkler system was on. It was boom. Then at one, I can picture it now in my mind. I must have been 12,
Wow, that's amazing.
and a Gazza brought a ball down. No one of them when the ball goes up in the air, and he just creffs it.
In the air, yeah.
the air.
Yeah.
And I
Lovely.
was just like, this is
Brilliant.
heaven, this.
You're in your element there. aren't you?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
thinking about
Right.
it.
No, yeah. So we won that tournament, and we were playing out from the back, and when it got into the nitty gritty of sort of November, October, November time, it was tough. The pitches weren't, and we just didn't have the back players, to be honest, to play out at that time. So we had to go in with the back four and change it. So that's why I went and got Ruud Gullit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think we'll get him, to be honest, but we brought Rudy in to play. I was finishing, hanging the boots up, and I thought Ruud, because I played against Ruud, funny enough, when he was a sweeper at Feyenoord, I think.
Yeah.
When he started his career, he was a sweeper in Holland as a 19-year-old.
How much younger than you was he at that time, Ruud?
That's a good question. I reckon he's about 5 years, 4 or 5 years between.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure. Probably about 5 years, I reckon. I'm guessing.
But, I mean, before that, when you took over the team, Dennis Wise was captain.
Yeah.
What was it like with Wisey being captain, your player manager? Was there...
Well, no,
Was it easy
actually,
or-
Sid, Dennis wasn't captain.
Right.
I made him captain.
Okay.
Because I remember they had some problems there before, and I thought Dennis was without a doubt the best player we had when
Yeah.
I went there. He's my player. Andy Townsend was there at the time, he was captain, and he told me he wanted to go to Villa.
Villa, yeah.
And I said, look, I think you're my best player. I said, you're my captain. He said, Glenn, he says, it's nothing to do with you. He said, it's I've been at this place now. I want to move on, blah, blah. It was pretty evident he was mentally he was going to go.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, in the end, I ain't going to stop him.
Yeah.
You can't have your captain not wanting to be at your club. So Dennis was, without doubt, far above everyone in the squad. And I thought, I need him on the pitch. I don't want him sent off every, getting booked and this and then other thing. And I said to him, off the pitch and on the pitch, I said, I'm going to make you captain. I said, I'll take it away from you if I feel you're going to, you're not going to do
give
it
him that
right.
responsibility.
To give him that responsibility, to make him feel that proud sort of feeling on and off the pitch, to settle him down a little bit, and also to give him that feeling that if, you're my extension on the football pitch, as a manager, the captain is your extension. So you need to be responsible for that. If I give you some instructions, I want you to do that out there. You've got license to do it yourself. So if you see something, so that's the relationship that I was trying to have with a captain. So Dennis was a slight risk, but it worked. It worked for, I think it was probably 2.5 seasons, I think. And in the end, I had to take it away from for other reason outside the game. But
I mean, the first season was amazing because you say there, you took over, you didn't really know the squad. Your first season, you got to the FA Cup final and qualified for Europe. I mean, I mean, just saying there, you would never have guessed you'd have done that. Walking in there.
No, because at Boxing Day, back then we played back-to-back games. We had Newcastle were top of the league, right, and we just got beaten down at the Dell against Southampton, and we were second from bottom. And I remember walking out, and I got some stick from the fans.
Wow.
And it was. It was a real nasty time, horrible time. The next day, we went back to the hotel to stay, and back then we played back-to-back, and we're playing at home at the Bridge against Newcastle. They're top of the league, Kevin Keegan, they're flying. And, we win that game 1-0 on a misty day, the worst game you probably see, but we got over the line with a win. And that was where we were. And we just started to turn it. It was hard work. That first, up until that Christmas, was probably the hardest management job at that period of time because it was under pressure all the time, every time. And in the end, like you say, Sid, we get to the FA Cup final, beaten by Man United, beaten well by Man United, but they were... Did they win the treble that year? Maybe the double.
No, they didn't.
Maybe the double, wasn't it? Yeah, so they were a fantastic team. Yeah. And, there was no disgrace there. And we ended up playing in Europe and doing the following season in Europe. Again, got to the semi-finals of the Cup Winners' Cup, but with a squad that I look back and think, sometimes, I look back and think that was very, very successful, although we didn't win anything.
No.
Yeah.
We were laying down foundations, I could see that, to improve.
Well, that's what I'm going to come on to there. I mean, you're credited for starting that Chelsea sort of revolution as such because you come in and the likes of Ruud Gullit, Vialli, Zola, that all followed and followed. And it stemmed from back then when you started the success that they've even had now.
It did. And I think what it was apparent pretty quickly that tactically, technically, all them things needed to be put in very quickly, and that was me as a coach, which I strive on. I love that. But I looked at it and I thought, no, this club is. If I'm honest, Swindon had better facilities than Chelsea had at the time. So it wasn't just that. I was shocked at the facilities. No bath at the training ground, no gym, no office for the manager. Oh, it was incredible. So I thought, I took Ken Bates on and said to him, look, this is ridiculous. If you set the minds of the players, no wonder Andy Townsend wanted to leave because he could see that. So we had to mentally change the philosophy of the way that we thought, and the way that where we stayed in hotels was not. It wasn't a Premier League setup.
Yeah.
So we had to change that, and the players saw us changing that, so that you couldn't give them a get out because everything was done for them in the end as much as we could. Then we got a gym put in, and then we had a bath to have a bath in some of the players. It's ridiculous, but
didn't you have to do
did
deals on the payphone?
I did
for all the kids listening. There used to be these phones you had to put money in.
Good shout, yeah.
No, you telling me?
It was the weirdest thing. I said, "Where's my office?" I said, "Ron Atkinson wants to talk to me about Andy Townsend." Well, I'm doing a deal for £2.1 million, whatever it was, for Andy, and I'm on a BT phone, which had the bottom taken out of. I was given 50p. I put the 50p in, and it would go through. And I'd put the 50p back in. I'm in the middle of this conversation in the staff room where all the boys are putting the kit out for the staff. That was my office at the time. And that was the mentality. And I remember Ron saying to me, "Glenn, what's that noise in the background? It's the pips going." I thought, I can't explain that. And it was then that I thought, I've got to go and see Ken. I've got to change this.
So was that one of the main reasons that we're going to get onto England now? Was that one of the main reasons why that when England come knocking, it's very hard to turn down? But, you said that you've done your time there, you're working your way up, you've done your progression. Then when England come knocking, and the facilities that you got at Chelsea, then the England job, was that a tough one to leave to Chelsea?
It was a weird thing because I was happy as Larry at Swindon, and Chelsea come along, and I thought, I was happy as Larry at Chelsea. I've had 3 years. We're building something. Had Rude there, Marcus Petrescu. We had better players, and Matthew Harding, bless him, was involved. Wanted to spend some money. There was a bit of a political battle going on that I was in between at the time, but it was all moving forward. It was all going forward. This vision that we had was coming alive. The stand was being built, had been finished. And then, blow me down, I get a phone call out the blue. And it literally was out the blue from Jimmy Armfield, bless him, saying, "You're on a short list of 3. 1, I'm sounding you out. Would you be interested?"
Yeah. Wow.
I'm like, give me a day to think about that. I had to think about the family. I had to think about all the other things. I was only 39, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. 39, England manager.
I think I was 39. And, all them things were being, put through my mind, and I'm having to think about it. But in the end, it was just solely that, how can I turn this down? I might never, ever get another chance. How can you turn your country down? To play for them was wonderful. But I'm being might be a chance. I wasn't given the job then. I was in one of 3, so I had to go back and say yes or no. And I said,
do you know who the other 2 were?
No. I never found that out, actually. No. But it was all very bizarre because Terry was manager doing a great job. We had the 96 Euros here, and it was all named that I was coming in. It was a bit strange and a bit surreal in many ways.
Was that for off-field things with Terry? It was, weren't it?
Yeah. It was.
You've taken over a group. We talk about Euro '96, and and obviously we didn't win the tournament, but it was something that sticks in all our minds when we were younger.
Yeah.
But there must have been a real enthusiasm to go, I want to get my teeth into this sort of.
It's a bit of a conundrum in many ways, if you're honest, because one, I looked at the squad and I thought, that's a good squad. There's a good team there. The place in England that I think football took off. That's the year it took off again because it was in England, with all the publicity. I think football just went through the roof. So the expectation, don't forget, was going to be difficult. Weren't going to be easy. But I felt, look, that's a positive. It's a positive vibe to work off. The main thing was with the team. We had some very good players, and my excitement because when I knew I was going in, my first thing I did, me and Johnny Gorman went down to Toulon to watch Bex play, and Scholesy wasn't even in that group, and Paul Scholes. Those 2 were straight away in my mind. We're bringing them. We're bringing them in. They didn't make the squad in '96, but they were so good they had to be brought in. And so that was my first thought. I thought, I've got these 2 kids. Then we had Rio. As a young, and then we had Michael up our sleeve as well, which was a year later. So these experienced, wonderful players had the experience of getting to the semis in the Euros. Now we're going to try and go for a World Cup, and with the youngsters, it was such an exciting time as well. So you're going in, you've got the right, you've got the right equipment to go in to do the job. The expectations was high, but so be it, and we went for it.
I mean, France '98 was amazing. It was an amazing tournament. I mean, the level of players and teams in that tournament was huge.
It was.
I mean, you look at Beckham, Argentina, and how if we could have got past that. Was there a real sense in the squad, Glenn, that this got a chance?
I'll tell you why. If you cast your mind the year before, we played in Le Tournoi and we won it.
Roberto Carlos.
Yeah.
That's where he scored the...
Yeah, that's right. Free kick.
Yeah.
Wonderful free kick. So to go and, beat Italy there, and we beat them well. And we had them in the qualifier, don't forget.
Yeah.
We had to go to Rome still. So we
win it.
It's one of my favourite games.
We beat them well. We beat them well in that tournament.
Yeah.
They knew.
2-0?
2-0, yeah. Wonderful game. Stato. And then we beat France. Alan Shearer scored in France. We lost, I think, to Brazil the last game, but we won the trophy.
Yeah.
So I think the emphasis and the players, that gave everyone a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And we used that and we went for that. And then to go to Rome and get that result there that we had to, should have won that. It was a 0-0, but played with a lot of authority there. So this team was believing, and then to go and to get through this unbelievable game. I've never been involved in such an emotional game in the Argentinian game.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous because we thought we'd gone through with Sol's golden goal.
I remember.
Yeah.
There were so many things that were happening, and then David. I mean, I was shocked because to this day it's a yellow card. It's not a red card, and
Where was the referee from? Do you remember?
Nielsen, from Denmark.
Denmark.
Yeah, and there was all sorts happening in that game. There was a penalty in the second half and golden goal that wasn't given. It was Ayala handballs it.
Yeah.
Alan Shearer saw it. A lot of the other players did. So you imagine this emotion that I was going through. We had to play with 10 men.
Mm-hmm.
They did unbelievable for an hour with 10 men in extra time. And then we get knocked out on the penalties. And, that was the time when if anyone had said like, well, where do you deserve to get paid whatever I was being paid at the time, which wasn't mega, it would have been to go through that game was just enough to get the contract because it was just a roller coaster of emotion.
What was it like after that game? You remember the dressing room? I mean, can you remember if anyone spoke?
No, it wasn't a time. I remember all I said. I mean, the emotions, you could just the energy in there. When it's up, when you've won, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was just there was just this silence, really. Yeah. And it wasn't a time for me to say anything because they played so well. They'd given everything with 10 men. So I remember saying, the country would be proud of you. You should be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. Yeah. And I was emotional. Yeah. I've got to say, I've never been like that before. And I thought, we're not going into what happened on that. Yeah. It was pure. Be proud of yourself. Walk through that door out to the press or wherever with your chest out. Yeah. So and I think if we'd have won that game with 10 men, which we were so close doing, I don't know how close
Who would we have got in the next round?
I think it was Holland, wasn't it? Holland knocked Argentina.
That was the Bergkamp goal.
Yeah, Bergkamp's goal. Yeah. What a way to announce yourself to the world in Michael Owen's goal. It was incredible.
I was going to say that. Did you feel a responsibility in yourself? Because he literally, I mean, you talk to everyone, and Rio goes on about it as well. When he come on the scene, it was like no one's ever seen anything like it before. And then he's doing it at the World Cup, the biggest stage in the world. Did you feel a sense of trying to shield him from the press? Because the press weren't great with England then, was they? Around the camps.
It was always hard. He was such a level-headed kid, though. He was he was so advanced. I mean, I'll give you an example where I didn't have that many worries about that, actually. In the sense, when we went down to 10 men, it was a big risk of mine. Normally, what do you do? Normal in a game like that, take a striker off, go 4-4-1.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted. He'd scored this wonder goal. I wanted his pace. Yeah. I thought, well, if we're going to score, we'd be on the break. We need the pace. I said, but I'm going to take Alan Shearer off. So I had to go 4-4-1. And I thought, well, if Michael, the key was when Michael had the 5 minutes back, because we dovetailed them. Yeah. I literally said to them, Alan, you stay up. Michael, it's whether he can see off the right-sided midfield for 10, 6, 7 minutes, and then I'd go swap over. I knew Alan had the experience. Michael was incredible.
Yeah.
Not only for the goal and how he played, but to see off the left back, to get round, to get back, and being in contact with his. It was like someone had coached him, before the game and said, "This is going to happen. This is what you have to do." He just did it off the cuff, and I kept looking at him, thinking, "Are they going to get? They're going to get in down that side. If he does." I'm going to have to yank him off and put somebody else in there to plug the gap but we kept getting out as well.
Yeah.
We looked as if we could score.
Yeah.
So it was a real conundrum what to do. But he was absolutely brilliant.
Right, Glenn, it's time for what really happened when we look back from a moment of your career and we want to know more about it. Now, I could ask you about the 2 times you won the FA Cup or the UEFA Cup or the times you've had in Monaco, but I want to take you back to 1987 and 2 words. Diamond Lights. So the hit single released under Glenn and Chris. First question, why didn't you call yourselves Hoddle and Waddle?
Oh, no, exactly. That's what I said at the time. I don't know why it was. They went for their first names. It did seem right to do Hoddle and Waddle, didn't it? But,
so it was a single.
Perhaps it had gotten the number 1 if we had put that.
It was a single Diamond Lights.
It was.
I mean, how did that come about?
It's a long story, actually, but I try and whittle it down. But we had a Pat Mitchell, a mate of ours, who used to come down the training ground. Lovely Spurs man, lovely guy, salt of the earth sort of guy, and he got us these 2 cars, me and Chris, sponsored cars. So we had these sponsored cars. He said, cut a long story short, we were playing in the Midlands. He said Saturday night there's I think it was, can't remember, was it Avis or something. They got a big do up there in the Midlands. Can you come after the game? Yeah, of course we can. So we take the girls up there. Yeah. We have a good win. I think we beat Coventry 3-1. We go and do this do. Had the right few sherbets. We were nice and relaxed, enjoying the free, the points that we'd won. And then, right near the end of it, he's all the crowd had got get up and sing with the band. Yeah. So me and Chris get up there, just sing. I mean, I pretended to sing. Anyway, we come back down. Everyone's going mad. Blah blah. Great. Sit down at the table. He comes up. He says, "You sounded great." I thought, well, I was miming to say, right, yeah, you sounded great, guys. He said, "I've got a mate who writes songs, blah, blah, blah." We went, we don't want to do a song. He badgered us for the next 3 months. He was down the training ground. Yeah. Come on, he's got a song written. Bob Pusey, his name is, writer. In the end, he just got to us. And we went, look, we'll meet him. So we met him at his house. He had 6 kids. He draped them all down in front of us in his lounge. It was almost like, how could we say no? Yeah. It's almost feed my children if we don't do this record. So we end up getting into this unbelievable thing of doing the song. It was a real ballad at the time. We went, we can't do a ballad like that. So he livened it up a bit. And we end up doing this video, and we keep pinching ourselves. But the worst of the best was live Top of the Pops.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
That was...
Yeah. Did you have a few drinks before you went on?
Well, I shiver now when I think about it, actually. But we went out there. So we training, Joe. We're training at Cheshunt. Yeah. Car to pick us up. I said, get a car to pick us up. So car pick us up. Yeah. We finished training. We got to get to Shepherd's Bush because that's where they do the... Yeah. And then there was rehearsals and all these things. And I said to the guy, whatever you do, because we'd recorded it about 3 months before, did the video, we hadn't sung it, had we, for so long? I said, make sure the driver has a cassette. It was a cassette back in the day of the song because we can't remember the words. We're going down the Cambridge Road, the A10, singing Diamond Lights in the back of the car, getting the words right to go in front of millions of people on telly. That's how nerve-wracking it was going to be for us.
And back then, Top of the Pops was huge, by the way, wasn't it?
Massive. You know what, though? I think the driver knew it better than us by the time we got to Shepherd's Bush.
Where did he get in the charts?
Number 12.
Number 12. Yeah. 2012. Yeah. That's amazing. I got 10,000 in my garage still. Copies. That's how I got up there.
So Glenn, just compare like a Top of the Pops performance to an FA Cup final or put on an England jersey.
I've said it before. I took in the FA Cup final, early in the replay against QPR, about 6 minutes in, I've got to take a penalty. I've hardly had a touch of the ball in the game, and I've got to take a penalty. That is nothing compared to being live Top of the Pops.
Really?
Honestly, it was so nerve-wracking, mate, because It actually was live. You know, they normally did it the Wednesday and it went out on a Thursday, but one program every month had to be live. So if I fell off the stage, or Chris, we fell off the stage, there was no take two or anything, you know, or you messed up or whatever. It was so nervous.
Did you have a good sort of time to rehearse, or was it sort of in quick rehearsal and done?
As I say, we were trying to learn the words again in the back of the car. So we're so unprepared, and so the first rehearsal was not clothed up because we had all the gear. I remember it looked like Miami Vice. And we end up going back into the room, and I said to Chris, we are in trouble, mate. So we said to the fella, we give him 20 quid, and he's talking about, did we have a drink? And he brought a few cans back.
Did he?
And me and Chris and our girls were there, boys were there, and we just got tucked into a few beers. We could not have done it otherwise. We really couldn't. I don't think
was
we'd
on,
done it.
Glenn? Was there any big hitters on
word. This is another thing. You know when the DJ hands over and that this is, well, do you remember a group called 5 Star?
Yeah.
They weren't on before you, were they?
They were on before, and they were all in sync. Every dancing, weren't they? 5 of them all sync, spinning around, doing it, and they were perfect. And that was 5 Star. This is Chris and Glenn. We had to follow them, which made it even worse. Oh, I've never been so scared in my life.
So there was another one that followed up. It was It's Goodbye, which reached 92 in the charts.
Yeah,
was that the goodbye you needed to?
That was my fault. I went goodbye. I'm off to Monaco. I did. That was a better song, much better song.
Was it?
I really enjoyed that one.
We
were going on tour. No, but we did it, and then I find out I'm going to Monaco.
Yeah.
And then they like to do the publicity and everything. They went, well, we've released it, but we have to pull it.
Yeah.
So and I went goodbye.
There must have been some offers for you to carry on going with. Is it over the years? Have people tried to get you two together to do it?
Oh, constantly. Yeah, constantly. We just make sure that we're never in the same room together.
Exactly.
He still gets the shivers now.
Imagine that. If you're in a boozer and Glenn and Chris are there, I'll be the first one to do it. Gaffer, I'll first of all check with the DJ, and I'll be like, come on, up you get. I'd love to see it.
No, well then obviously later on the male singer, that was interesting. But I've always loved singing, always loved singing. Whether people think I've got a good voice or not is immaterial.
As long as
it's not
enjoy
it's not my problem.
Talking of 5 Star, let's talk Premier League chat. Spurs, your old team, they've just come off a great win against Everton. But it comes after some terrible displays, isn't it, against Burnley and Middlesbrough? Very inconsistent at the moment. What would you put it down to with Spurs?
I mean, we could have been the week where you'd have said, what a great win against Man City, and then you've just said what you've said, out of the cup, and then Burnley, and then they go and win 5-0 against Everton. Probably the best I've seen them play. Yeah, actually play. This inconsistency is a real strange, because I'm pretty sure Conte's the style of manager that would hurt him more than anything.
He looks hurting, doesn't he, Glenn? When you see him in his interviews, he wears his heart on his sleeve.
I think he looks a bit confused, like we all are.
Yeah.
Of what he's got, his squad, his team. 1 minute they look as if, hang on, I've got something here that I could really turn into. I've got a lovely bit of silk cloth here. I can turn into a fabulous suit.
Yeah.
And then another week, it's like, where are they gone?
Yeah.
What are they doing? And I think he's a little bit baffled.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think there's a little bit of stuff going on.
Yeah.
The interview after Burnley concerned me and Spurs fans, I'm sure.
Is that just over emotional with Conte's style? Do you think he probably looks back at that and maybe regrets?
One thing about Conte, you see him on the line, running up and down, jumping, and which is great, passion. I think sometimes that can be over the top, because I think your team end up following you, and that's not good sometimes. I think that happened with Klopp, first couple of years, they got too emotional, and I think he calmed down, and I think Conte, but when Conte comes to an interview, I don't know if it's the language, he's very slow, very meticulous on taking in the question and coming back. He's never ever emotional in that sense, if you see my point. Yeah. So I think that was almost preordained. I think he knew what he was going to say. Yeah. And that was a concern to us. It was like, wow, he's almost saying, I'm not sure about this group of people. I'm not sure whether we're going to do what I want them to do or get the backing of what, I don't know. It was almost like he was leaving a door open to say, if I'm not the right man, if they don't think I'm the right man, I'll go through that door. But, I think that was in the back of his mind. Then when they go and beat Everton, they're all singing his name, he's clapping.
Yeah.
And this is where I think he's at. And I don't think he's that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that type of guy when he's a manager of any clubs he's been at. It's been pretty, this is what I want, this is how we train, this is what we're going to do. This seems to be a bit of a rocky boat.
Yeah.
I interviewed him after Chelsea beat him for the third time. And he was very, you said, like, a bit clinical with it. He was like, because everyone thought he was going to come out and hammer his players. And he said, I'm happy with my players. I'm happy with my players. But because I asked him why he didn't sign anyone in January. Was that planned, or and he went, no, this is not. It doesn't matter if I sign people in January or in the summer. He said, this is a 3-year project. And he was like, almost. I felt he was saying, these players can get you to a certain level, but we're going to need. This is going to be a longer term thing. He was quite. Yeah. He wasn't emotional at all. I thought that was planned out.
Yeah. And it's difficult because he's only got 18 months. Well, by the end of the season, it'll be. Yeah. So that means he's only got two. He's only going to have 2 more transfer windows to actually do what he's trying to say. And I agree with him. I think they've got some wonderful, wonderful players there, but the squad doesn't go deep enough. The levels are not up there.
No,
with the top teams, and for that, I think he's realising that gap is much, much bigger. Than he thought when he went in.
Yeah. You talk about other top teams. Spurs are definitely in the race still for top 4.
Yeah.
Arsenal are in the driving seat. United, West Ham, possibly Wolves are in the mix. It changes so much, but who do you think? I mean, top 3 we'd say is near enough cemented. Who do you think is going to nick top in the 4th spot?
It's going to. I think it will be.
It's hard,
isn't it? I'll probably go Spurs.
Really?
I don't know what's telling me that.
Arsenal will slip up.
I think Arsenal will slip up. I think because of Conte, and they were so good against Everton. But if you ask me this next week, it's just like the impossible question to answer.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, none of them are consistent.
I don't think it'd be Man United. I thought Wolves might have a chance, but the last weekend's result has probably knocked them out. So let's look at it that way. For me, I'll go United, probably not. Wolves, not now.
Yeah.
I think West Ham probably not because of the depth, and depends what happens against Sevilla this week. Now that if they get through again, I think that'll work against them. They just haven't got the depth. Let's be fair, and they've done wonderful. Don't get me wrong; he's done fantastic. But I think looking at it, they should have got another striker in at least. And I think they know that. David knows that. So I think there's 3. Arsenal look good. Tottenham's still in there having a chance. I think it might actually end up between them 2.
Yeah.
And what they've got to play them at home.
Yes.
Tottenham got to play Arsenal at home, so that's a key game. Arsenal are not a team that's going to go unbeaten for 5, 6, 7 games.
No.
So they're going to, but then Tottenham are not.
No.
So it's a real conundrum. Who's going to get that?
Spurs thrashed obviously Everton. Frank Lampard, good friend of the show. I mean, you look at that team, the squad at Everton. People saying they're too big to go down. Do you see enough characters? Do you see enough fight in that team to stay up?
I worry for Frank because it's a hell of a job. I think it was a bit of a mess when he took it over. Similar to Conte, I don't think Frank realised how much work was needed. I watched him defend the other night, and physically Tottenham just was running all over him. Yeah. And it was. I think it's worrying for Frank, and it's a big test for him. But he's a young manager, and I think they'll get out of it just. But I think it's a hell of a rebuild job. That
I think I agree with you, Joe. I think they'll get out of it just. But I think it'll be the home performances that will save them. This away record they got is abysmal.
Yeah.
And obviously Tottenham caught them on a bad night. Spurs played well, don't get me wrong. But so I think that was a little bit of one. I think Frank might look at that and just go, park that. Where can I look at my positives? My positives are I've got my main players back now. They might not be match fit at the moment, but I tell you what, that crowd, the Goodison crowd, if they stay with us, they'll get the best out of them at home.
Yeah.
If we don't win away from home, we've got to do something about that next year.
Yeah.
We're planning for that with a pre-season of how we might play away from home differently to playing at home. But I think they'll just about get over the line.
I think Frank's very smart. I think what they need to do, Everton, they need to, like Glenn said, that has got to be the fortress. And go back to what Everton are traditionally from the 80s and 90s, where they're dogged.
Yeah.
Do you know? And he's got two players in Decore and Allen who can do that. You've got two physical centre forwards in Richarlison and almost go completely back to basis.
Yeah.
Connect back with a Goodison faithful. Get the lads and just say, look, we're just going to be a dogged, horrible team to play against from now to the end of the season, and then that gives you a base then, because the back four need protecting 100%.
They do. Yeah, they do. It's interesting as well, talking about Everton, is that Van der Beek's gone there and not been given a chance at United. So I think Frank's looking at him thinking, you're a player. I quite like you. I'm going to put you in there. But then where does that put Dele Alli? I don't really see Dele Alli starting and saying, right, I'll put you in behind the front so you can go and score goals. That's what he's good at. I don't see him getting that chance.
No.
Maybe next year he might do a different system that he can play both of them. But it's interesting. They both coming from big clubs going to Everton thinking, well, they didn't give me a chance. Surely I've got a chance now. Or it was different for Dele Alli. He's sort of fallen by the wayside a bit.
More points to prove.
Yeah, both of them have got points to prove, but one of them's only going to get in that team at the moment. They can't fit both in.
Okay, another manager who's got a tough job in his hands, Jesse Marsh, who's taken over from the Marcelo Bielsa appointment with Leeds.
Yeah.
What needs to be done there? It's a hard act to follow.
Very hard act to follow. I don't know. I was a bit baffled. I don't know when he came out. When I was watching the interview when he said the performance was more important than the points, and I put it in reverse. There, I went, "Ooh."
Yeah.
He said, I'm not sure his understanding of where they're at.
Yeah.
But he is a hard act to follow. But I think he's also in some ways might be an easy act to follow.
Yeah.
For the players.
Yeah.
Because I think, looking at them, I covered the game against Tottenham, and I've seen other games of them. And I said weeks and weeks ago, just on a personal note, if they keep playing defensively, the man-for-man that they're doing, they're going to go down. They're going to be in trouble. And I think that's... The owners saw that, and that's why they've had to do what they've had to do. The Leeds fans, I'm sure, will be upset about it all, because they love him to bits, rightly so, what he's done for the club. But I'm telling you now, as somebody who's been in football all my life, that was on the cards. Now, the players now, if he goes in and says, well, we might do a little bit of the man-for-man mark, or we might... If they change it, I think in their heart, I think there's a lot of players there going, we can't keep playing like this.
Trying his course.
So now they've got, they've missed him. He's done a lot for them as individual players and as a team, got the club up. But they're going, oh dear, now we've got to go, let's listen to the new manager, and it might just be enough to keep them in there. Because they're like a stone that was dropped. Every now and again they might, this is the conundrum with them, they create anyway. They lost 4-0 at Tottenham. They could have scored 4, they could have let in 8. And that's, at Premier League level, you man-for-man marking all over the pitch. I was doing the game. Ayling was following Son, and Son took him to the right, old-fashioned right half position. He followed him. And the space for Winks to play, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And you're thinking, wow, you can't play like that in the Premier League. You might have got away with it for 1 year. People have sussed them. And all they did is it was evident the whole in midfield, it was up to Kane and then runners in behind. And it just... You'd see Spurs had worked at it and sussed it out.
So in a nutshell, Leeds, can they stay up?
Similar to Everton, I think the home form will keep them up. Yeah. I don't know. I think not the home form. I think the home crowd will keep them up. Ellen Road will keep them up. Glenn?
I'm putting my head on the chopping block here. I think Leeds could be in a situation where they go to the last game of the season and they have to win, or they have to get a point. If not, they're going to drop. Or if some team wins, I think it'd be like that. It'd be that tight anyway. But you'd like some Newcastle and Brentford's result. They've got enough to get. They're out. So I think Leeds are well and truly in this. It could be between Burnley, Everton, and maybe Leeds who on that last game of the season. Who's going to go down?
Be entertaining. Okay, so time for the Coral Super Series game. I'm going to ask you both 4 simple questions about the Arsenal v Leicester game this weekend at the Emirates. Joe, it's currently 9-9 in the series between Joe and the guest.
Oh dear.
So, quick fire answers, please. Joe, we'll go with you first. Who will win the match? It's Arsenal versus Leicester at Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Neither.
Draw. Oh, good. Who will score the first goal?
Saka.
Oh, yeah, I think you meant which team. Let me think.
Arsenal, Leicester.
Barnes.
How many corners?
I'm going to change it up because it's getting close now. I'm going to go 8.
8 corners. Glenn?
I'll go 9.
Oh, how many players will be carded? How many cards
2.
in the game? Oh, very friendly.
Yeah, well, it's 2
3
teams.
I'm going
2 or
3.
Okay, as usual, people at home, if you want to play along, you can do. Just head over to coral.co.uk, answer questions correctly to win cash prizes, but please gamble responsibly. Glenn, that's all we've got time for. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Lovely.
It's been insightful as ever. And Joe, like as we said before, when he's on and when we work with him, when he speaks, you just
Lovely
go
fun.
into.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
He's got the snake eyes, isn't he, in the Jungle Book? He
Yeah,
just rolls you in and you just sort of get sucked
Starts
into
talking
it.
about the spin of the ball, and everyone else goes, "No, we don't really get that. That's too technical."
No, it's lovely being with you youngsters.
Glenn, it's been a pleasure. Thanks ever so much for coming on. Good luck with the rest of the health and the golf and keeping it balanced with work and stuff. And
One more question: is there any chance we're going to see you in the dugout?
I doubt it. I got asked that question the other day, and I said, "Well, you never say never in football, do you?" But I doubt it.
Okay.
You heard it here first. Remember, you can find us on the Joey YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast from. You have been listening to the All to Play For podcast brought to you by Joe and Coral. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.